Hey everybody, Once Bitten here. So we moved to game two of the tournament, of a three-game tournament. I lost badly in game one. Here in game two, I'm matched up with the same opponent that I had in the final game of the Buckeye Battles tournament. We were at the winners table. He beat me and ended up winning the tournament. So yeah, that's great. I lose badly in game one and I have to play him in game two. Um, the great thing about this is he brought a really unique army. It's basically 1980s era Chaos Dwarfs that he's just using regular Dwarf rules for. But they look really cool, and it's great to see something different out there. Um, anyway, it's kind of a meeting engagement scenario, and the other scenario rules are kind of an anti-magic. I think the tournament organizer wanted to make sure that nobody brought a list that relied exclusively on magic. So you only get D3, 2D3 plus 1 dice instead of 2D6 dice, and stuff like that. If you miscast, you have to roll twice in the miscast table, and your opponent gets to choose which one you use. So, yeah, that and him being dwarfs makes me think that my magic isn't going to help much this game. It certainly didn't help much last game. So, anyway, so I rolled highest, so I had to deploy first and then give him first turn, which is something I don't really like about the meeting engagement rules. But c'est la vie. So anyway, he's got a couple grudge throwers and then the best looking cannon I've ever seen. That thing is awesome. And I'm sorry that picture is a little clearer, but it's like a great bull Taurus who's chained down shooting cannonballs out of its ass. that thing is that thing's great. Anyway, so then he has this unit on the left that has black armor. These are his longbeards, and they have two ancestor runes, the rune of determination, and shields. And he's got a unit of regular dwarf warriors, and he went with a sword and board combo with all of his warrior units. This one has a runesmith, and he has another runesmith as well. So one of them has a spell eater rune, and one of them has a spell breaking rune. His BSB is in this middle unit. You can see what he's equipped with. He's got a slayer unit at the top, which I thought was great. And that's the only things that deployed. He had two units that didn't come on first turn. And they are, well, they're to the side. I'll show them in just a minute. So I'm using the same list as my last game, which you're welcome to see. And I'll go through it as we move through the game in case you didn't see the last game. So what didn't come on the board, he's got two units of warriors. The one on the left has his dwarf lord with all that stuff on him. And then he has another runesmith. So we go turn one. He charges his slayers to my peg knights. I was pretty far away, and so I stood. I was really hoping he wouldn't make that. I think slayers would tear up my peg knights. But he failed it, which was nice. Again, I had to deploy first. I want my peg knights to go take out his war machines, but obviously he put his war machines on the opposite side of the table. So I really needed them not to get in combat, fly over his lines, and get over there and take out those machines before they hurt me too badly. He used them to he targeted his cannon at my trebuchet, which I thought was interesting. Or if not the cannon, the grudge throwers. And the first one scattered off, the second one hit it and completely destroyed it. So I was actually okay with that. I plan on being in combat with him quickly enough that I don't really need the trebuchet, and I'd rather him shoot at that than at my knights. And the reason I had my archers up front, it's a tactic I used a couple years ago when I first started Brets to basically shield my knights from cannonballs. For some reason I thought he brought two cannons. I didn't look closely at his list before he deployed. So anyway, so when it comes to my turn, I just kind of open the door of those archers a little bit. I'm not worried about them getting in the way. I can charge them out of the way if I need to, and I can flee with them if he charges me. So anyway, I fly my peg knights up top to try to get around to the left where his war machines are. Otherwise, I'm not anxious to get in combat yet. I want to make sure I get some dual charges there. My Grail Relique and my Quest and my Grail Knights both couldn't come on the game at the start of the game. So they started off, so I was just now able to get them on and move them up a little bit. So Dwarf turn 2, he takes his longbeards and charges my fast cav, and in hindsight I should have just stayed there with him because it would have they would have killed them, and if they overran, my Grail Knights would have got a flank charge on them, probably. But anyway, I fled with them. They fled through my Grail Relique. My Grail Relique failed its panic test and ran off the board. Yeah, I'm having this my second game in a row of just not doing smart things, and the dice not loving me. Otherwise, on the second turn, the Longbeards that charged my fast cav redirected into my general's unit, as did his other unit of warriors. Now, again, if his warriors had great weapons, this would be really ugly, but he's with sword and board, so he's not going to die very easily, but he's not going to kill me very easily at all. This is a unit of Knights of the Realm. All three of the models in front are characters. One has a rerollable 1-up armor save. That's the Green Knight. He also has a Sword of Might. That's the Green Knight model, not the Green Knight character. My general's in the middle. He's got Heroic Killing Blow and Heartwood Lance with a 2-up armor save. Then I have my Battle Standard Bearer with a 2-up rerollable armor save. So he can't even attack my rank and file troops. He has to allocate on those guys, one of whom will be in a challenge. And yeah, they're just hard to kill. So he charges with both. He charges my men-at-arms on the other side. I'm not sure why I had my damsel in with them. I think the damsel was there because she had the signature spell of Lore of Life, and I was hoping to give them regen. But I should have known better. This game, magic wasn't going to be doing a whole lot. So anyway, there's another angle. I'm really, really not worried about him charging my knights here. I actually kind of like it. It kind of bottlenecks the units that are coming from behind and gives me a chance to bring my Grail Knights over. So during shooting, he kills a Peg Knight, and I pass my panic. Very happy about that. And at the end of combat, he kills a bunch of peasants, but they hold. He doesn't do any wounds on my character's unit. I don't know if he won or not. If he did, I was steadfast 10 rerollable. So again, my guys weren't going anywhere. So Bretonnian turn 2. My Peg Knights were still too far away to charge his War Machine, so I just flew them again. And so they're lined up to charge next turn. I decided my Grail Knights, I probably could have charged one of his War Machines if I'd gotten lucky, but I decided it just wasn't worth it. So I just moved them up a little bit so they would be in the flank of that Longbeard unit. So on my next turn, if he doesn't break me by then, and he's not, I mean, there's just almost no way he's going to, he's going to get charged in the flank by a bunch of Grail Knights. Take my Knights Errant and charge them into the Battle Standard Bearers unit. What I really need to do is get this unit below steadfast. When my Grail Knights come in, they're going to just do a ton of wounds, which is great, unless this unit's steadfast, in which case it's not going to matter. And so that's what I'm hoping the Knights Errant can do. So after combat, if you look at the men-at-arms, killed a bunch of them, including my damsel, but they were still steadfast. They still stuck around. My Knights Errant came in. They didn't do a whole lot. I think I killed a few of his guys, but really not a lot, not enough to jump up and down about. My characters are doing an okay job whittling them down a little bit, but you know, we're just we would just sit there the rest of the game if nobody ever came in to help. So we go to Dwarf turn 3. Nothing happens in the middle here. On the right, one of his Dwarf units charges my men-at-arms, gets corner to corner, and that's huge because now I'm not going to be steadfast. And but that's okay. I have the men-at-arms angled such that if he pursues them, he's just taking himself away from all my knights. And if he just stands there, it gives me time to move away from him. Over here, again, we're just locked in combat. Basically, my general with Heroic Killing Blow is just issuing challenges. He's the most vulnerable of my characters because he doesn't have a rerollable armor save, so I don't want a bunch of guys attacking him. And he's just accepting with champions. So otherwise, it looks like that. Shoots at my Peg Knights. He kills another Peg Knight, and this one luckily kills the champion. So the remaining rank and file luckily passes his panic test. Kills a couple Grail Knights, but that's fine. They don't even have to take a panic test, and they can still do tons of damage like that. And then amazingly, after combat, I actually broke his Battle Standard Bearers unit and ran it down. The other unit stuck around. I think it was still steadfast, and regardless, it stuck. It stuck. But the BSB's unit, I don't remember how that happened. He obviously killed a knight errant. I must have killed several of his guys just using knights errant, horses, and then I've got a BSB and my general picking at him. But I must have killed several. I don't remember what he needed. Um, probably a 7 or an 8, and he missed it twice. So that really, really hurt him. If you look on the right, he took care of my men-at-arms unit. He reformed the Slayers and pursued and ran down the men-at-arms with his warriors. So on the right was looking good for him, but that losing his BSB in that one unit just really, really hurt. And it happened on his turn. So on my turn, I have time to get my knights errant out of that awkward position. So we'd go to Bretonian turn 3. This is what I've been waiting for. The Grail Knights come in. They're going to pack a wallop. The Knights Errant, I basically just put my finger down on the corner of their tray and wheeled them around so that his general's unit, it's warriors with his general in it. It's the top middle. They're facing forward. They can't see my Knights Errant. Now, if he moves anywhere, I'm going to get a flank charge on him, or if he stays still. And if he faces me, I don't plan on charging with my Knights Errant. I'm hoping that on my next turn, both of these other big knight units at the bottom will be free, and they'll charge his general's unit in the flank. So either way, he's going to get charged in the flank with that unit. So Peg Knight comes into his cannon, because that's the thing that worries me most. And there's another blurry angle. And after combat, I kill one of his guys. He kills a Peg Knight. I win by 1. He's steadfast, and it's a push. So we come here, and this was amazing. Those Grail Knights came in and just really cut that unit in half. And they passed their break test. Or did they? Or did they? Yeah, they passed their break test, so darn it. But not the end of the world. His general's unit they reform to face my Knights Errant, thinking that I'm going to charge him in the front, which I could, but I don't want to, because he's going to win that war of attrition there. Anyway, elsewise you can see his Slayers did not make it into combat. I don't know if they tried and failed or what. His warriors charged my bowmen. I decided just to flee, mainly because I didn't want him to get that extra distance, and then, instead of pursuing me out of the way, turning and being close to my knights. So I just fled, so that he would just be stuck there, moving very little. During the shooting phase, he kills one Knight Errant. And this time, again, I won combat. I think I killed one of his guys. He didn't do anything to me. I won by 1. He was steadfast, and he broke. So the cannon is dead. That's nice. And so I turn my Peg Knight to face a Grudge Thrower. The problem is I'm sitting on 1 wound. So this game, for some reason, had taken a long time, and we weren't sure if we were going to get turned to 6 turns. So anyway, at the end of that combat, I finally broke his unit of Ironbreakers, or Longbeards. And so I pursued him with the Grail Knights because they had to run away from my general's unit. And so when the Grail Knights pursued him, it just lined him up perfectly for the flank of his general's unit. And my general's unit can see that unit and can also charge. So on my next turn, he's going to get dual flank charged by some big nasty knight units. And it looks something like that. They kind of did a crisscross maneuver just because it seemed cleaner. And yeah, so his general's a whole ton of points. Yeah, that's not going to go well for him if I can break him. And the big problem here is I've got to get him under steadfast. I only have 3 ranks, and very likely after combat with his general hitting me, I may only have 2 ranks, so I've got to kill just a ton of guys. Otherwise, everything down here is as you see it. One big thing that helped is I got thrown a vines off, and he let me, because I just really didn't have a whole lot of dice. And then I threw some dice at Shield of Thorns on the Grail Knights, and he let it through, because he was worried about me doing something nastier with the remaining dice. And then whatever I tried then, he let through. But what I really wanted was that Shield of Thorns. So at the end of the magic phase, I roll for it, and it's going to do 2d6 strength 4 hits on his general's unit. And I rolled 6s, double 6s. And I just really, again, I had to get his unit under steadfast, or else I'm going to get flank charged by these Slayers. and the Shield of Thorns just tore through him. I don't know how many I killed, but whatever it was, it helped. So after combat, he easily was not steadfast, did a ton of damage, ran him down, and at that point we both know that that's the game. I think we went ahead. Yeah, board looks like that overall. Went ahead and gave him a 5th turn. He turned his units. He shot at me. Nothing was really happening. And I was like, look, I'm just going to dance around. I'm not going to get in combat. We were short on time, so we just called it there. So, yeah, just kind of a weird game. I felt like my deployment was really awkward and bad. But his dwarfs at strength 3 just couldn't get past my armor saves. And it allowed me time to make up for my mistakes and get the Grail Knights in the battle. So got full points for that one, which helped me significantly after having no points in game 1. So that was it. We move on to game 3. Hope you enjoyed it.